Meg frantically tries to erase traces as journalists embark on an investigation into the ghost child Archie. Hello and a very warm welcome to Kate Middleton and the Queen News YouTube channel. A royal expert has just reported that he is hearing on the grapevine that several journalists have had enough. They are working together now to get some answers. They're claiming that Meghan in fact did not give birth to Archie, and if they didn't have any proof, they wouldn't be going ahead with this. And apparently their investigation, or the outcome rather, is not going to be welcomed by the Archbishop of Canterbury or the palace. I'm curious as to whether or not the investigation people have already approached Meghan. Is she talking with them? Is she locked away with her lawyer somewhere getting ready for a defense? It would have to be a defense that implicates the royal family, I'm sure, especially the king, because apparently Meghan has him in her sights, and I wouldn't assume that Meghan would want to take the rap all by herself. There are rumors that Meghan is even talking to palace advisors now. Because, let's get real, the internet is going to have a meltdown. They'll accuse the palace of being complicit in the biggest royal scam ever. And the nonsense of including people in line of succession who aren't even real or who no royal has ever met is ridiculous. I know all of you have seen the photos of that moon bump that seemed to have a life of its own, and we cannot escape the fact that Meghan's pregnancy was very suspicious. And naturally, the palace announcement of Archie's birth that was placed on the easel outside of Buckingham Palace raised some eyebrows because it was not signed. It was all just very strange. When Catherine gave birth, all of those announcements were signed. That is royal protocol. It's unbelievable that Archie had to be satisfied with a printed announcement that nobody could even put their names to. What was the explanation for all of that? At this point, the best that we can hope for is the news of this scam, if it really is a scam, to come out. Also, how could we forget about that bizarre comment that Harry made in front of the whole world, that the baby had changed a lot during the last 2 weeks, when allegedly he was only a few hours old? That is a very strange thing for him to say. There really is a lot of suspicious content for the journalists to explore. And if this goes along the path that everyone is expecting, then Meghan is going to be responsible for William stepping up and taking over the crown. It would be so ironic if this actually happened, especially considering I think that is the last thing that she wants. And I still suspect that this was one of the big issues behind Megxit. Meghan and Harry probably did not want the news to come out. Now Archie had already been born at this point, so I'm guessing this was the Queen's way of trying to mitigate a really horrible situation. This deception is the fault of Harry and Meghan, though. After seeing what they're capable of, they could probably have tried to use blackmailing tactics after the royal family already found out. After everything they have said, after everything they've done to try to humiliate Harry's family, I say, all right, release this story, let the truth come out. The two of them are so crazy that I think they could have tried to pull this off. I mean, in this day and age, who in the world would not admit to using a surrogate? And Meghan tries to claim that she's a feminist. I'm sure the palace was blindsided by their treachery. I mean, why wouldn't they be? They thought that they would never do something like that, but then Meghan Markle entered the picture. So the palace could put out a statement, and that would preempt Meghan and Harry. I don't think anybody out there is going to believe the royal family would want this kind of scandal and willingly go along with it. I just really don't believe that they actually knew what Meghan and Harry were up to this whole time. I think they found out after the fact, and they were basically tricked. People need to understand that that's exactly why the royal family has never met these phantom children. Why was there no christening at Windsor? That is still a very good question. Reason would dictate that if there were children born of Meghan's body, then she would be out there showing them off and she would be trying to compete with the Cambridge kids. Now, the royal family's conduct was not necessarily direct, but they were signaling that there are no kids in everything they've done. I, for one, would rather just have the truth come out there and see the end of Meghan once and for all. You know, I'm sure Doria and Meghan would have loved for this little scheme to work. Money is all they care about. Now, when the royal family started to notice the comments that people were making about that maybe Meghan used a surrogate, I'm sure initially they were incredulous as to what was being alleged. Most normal people would be. And afterwards, I'm sure they were faced with the task of investigating this crazy story. And then Harry and Meghan ran off to Canada and the US, and Archie was just a baby at the time. Supposedly, Lily was born when they were living in the US, and they were careful to never bring the children to Britain, in spite of all of the false stories they put out claiming the royal family had actually met these ghost kids. The fact of Harry and Meghan living in a foreign, non-Commonwealth legal jurisdiction would have made inquiries a lot more difficult for the royal family. After Megxit, it was pretty much impossible for the royal family to find proof of what had supposedly happened. And without any real evidence, they couldn't try a public explanation or an announcement. Also, it wasn't really their place to explain to the whole world what Harry and Meghan had done, even if they were able to prove it. So I understand the family found itself in a very difficult situation, and they are still there. The king, though, has obviously made a decision that the kids are not going to get titles, which I think is a step in the right direction. I applaud him for that. Also, I'm pretty sure the story here is not what the royals knew or when they knew it. The story here is that the children are not real. I think if we could find that out for sure, then all of this insanity would finally come to an end. Now, it's also important to remember that when they were visiting Australia, Harry was overheard shouting at Meghan, "Well, are you or are you not pregnant?" Why would he shout a thing like that? There are so many women who have honeymoon babies, and it's not like Harry wouldn't have wanted or been able to afford having children. So I'm guessing she used the oldest trick in the book to force him into getting married. That wedding was obviously rushed, and it forced Eugenie to have to postpone hers. People said that Eugenie was forced to postpone her wedding because Harry was more important than she was, because he's the son of the Prince of Wales. But I don't agree. Harry and Meghan had only known each other for a little while, just a few months actually, and they could have waited a few more. I think I am beginning to understand why William issued that warning to Harry to take his time with Meghan. And we know Meghan Markle loves a lawsuit, so why has she not threatened to sue over this? It seems like it's a stench that will not disappear. It's about time the truth comes out, and maybe this will force them into hiding. But you know what? The monarchy has got to be prepared to prove that they really didn't know that Harry did this all by himself. This saga has been allowed to go on for so long, and it's about time that we hear the real truth. I'm guessing Lilibet was born by a surrogate as well. I mean, they file lawsuits over the most ridiculous little things, but not the moon bump or the surrogacy rumors, which to me says a lot. They have been desperately running their little bot farms, having people taken off of Twitter, YouTube, etc. for talking about these rumors, but still they have never gone to court and filed a lawsuit. Very interesting indeed. So I think we can prepare ourselves for a new PR strategy or victimhood filled with lies that the royal family knew and they forced them to use a surrogate. Yeah, right. They're going to have all of their woke US media people attacking the rules for the lines of succession, talking about how old these rules are, how backward they are, the list goes on and on. We know what they're going to say. Now, desperate people resort to desperate measures, and I'm sure Meghan is going to put up quite a fight, and I'm sure she's going to try to take everyone else down with her, but it's not going to work. You know what? Meghan has been involved in a long game with some serious backers to try to take down and destroy the royal family, but I am convinced she is not going to win. And you, what do you think about them? Please tell me what you think below in the comments section, and everyone else can also discuss your thoughts and feelings. If you think my video is interesting, please remember to like and share it anytime you want. And please click the subscribe button below to get more updates from Kate Middleton and the Queen News team. Now thank you so much for tuning in, goodbye, and I'll be back to see you all tomorrow.